So this sequence is beautiful, and it's very hard to see why unless you're already familiar with it. Hello everyone, my name is Nick. I've been training in martial arts for more than 18 years and teaching students for more than 8. I currently hold a 5th degree black belt in Korean martial arts, but my interests extend to many other styles as well. Today, we're going to be looking at one of my favorite fight scenes of all time, Ip Man versus the Japanese general. So this scene starts off with what is pretty normal. A bow between opponents, taking your stance, followed by an opening, edging closer, a bunch of quick punches and kicks. Now, one thing I wanted to highlight is this strike right here to the base of the jaw. Now, a lot of places focus only on striking to the side of the temple, and that's certainly very bad for you if you get hit there, but an angled strike into your jaw, especially at the base, compresses your teeth together, and at an angle, can often shatter multiple teeth all in a single blow, which is sometimes incapacitating, and at the very least, incredibly painful. So what you have here is a sequence of combination kicks followed by a high axe kick, as it's usually called in English. Now, if you're ever kicking, you usually want to either kick to someone's weakness, maybe they lift their arm too high and their ribs are exposed, or aiming for knees anywhere that their guard is down. And you usually want to add multiple kicks or strikes together in succession to try and overwhelm or confuse or close distance. And so here we see multiple kicks, all coming from one leg extended. That's not particularly uncommon, but doing multiple kicks to the same leg does have some disadvantages. First, your opponent sees the leg still up. There's a higher chance they know the kick is coming from that leg. They're more prepared for it. And the second is that because you're not shifting your body mass with your kick, you're losing some of your power. Now, the finisher to this particular sequence is an axe kick, because you're basically lifting your leg up and striking down like an axe. It's a powerful kick, but it's not one I would like to use myself. And here's why. When you're doing an axe kick, you're lifting your leg up in the air, trying to strike down, and hope that they don't move the 2 feet sideways required to dodge the path of your kick. It's very easy to dodge, and it tends to leave you exposed. So as you can see here in this scene, after the general has done his axe kick, his back is toward his opponent, which is bad. And the back of his knee, his lower spine, his groin, even the back of his head are all exposed, just because Donnie Yen's character dodged a little to the side. So, yes, this kick would hurt if you get caught by it on the collarbone or the head, but it's not as useful, it's easier to dodge, and there's lots of ways to counter it. So I personally would only use a kick like this if my opponent was already incapacitated or something on the ground, and then I can drop the kick the full length for extra damage. And even then, I might just choose to go to a strike instead. So a throw like this never happens in real life. Now, it started off very correct. And then Wire Fu took over and made it unrealistic. So if you can pick someone up and throw them, there's a high chance they're landing on their head, their spine, which could instantly put them out of a fight, or severely wound them, or at the least, daze them to make your next strike easier. There's a simple reason why grappling and throwing techniques are seen around the world and are taught in almost every successful self-defense school. Now, the way this technique started, you're grabbing someone's clothing, you're turning to try and get your body in a better position, and then you're trying to pull their body forward and destabilize their legs. Pretty textbook. You can't just lift someone up and expect that to work. That only works if you have significantly more muscle mass and they weigh significantly less than you. Instead, what you do in real life is you destabilize them. If you make their head leaning forwards, either you're pulling or you're inflicting pain at a pressure point, or you're grabbing their hair, and you destabilize their legs, they want to go forward, their head is leaning forward, there's pain, there's force, there's balance, and then their legs just flick a little. That's enough to make their body rotate. It takes about 2 inches of lift on someone's leg to completely destabilize them. If you can lift their body 2 inches, you can throw them. Now, you're not going to throw them this high, but it's still an incredibly effective move. The downside, though, is that you have your back turned to the opponent, and if you don't throw them fast, they're likely to start pounding your head, or get you in some kind of chokehold, or do something else to you that you don't want to be. So this sequence is beautiful, and it's very hard to see why, unless you're already familiar with it. So what you see, Donnie Yen's opponent tries to go for a kick, bending his leg and then extending out. He is a little bit off. Donnie Yen's character is able to move, and he's able to kick the back of his opponent's leg. If you've ever been kicked in the leg, there's pressure points all around your knee. It hurts. Someone kicks you there in the knee. Even if they don't damage your knee joint, you're going to have trouble kicking and moving for the rest of the fight, and possibly a week afterwards, depending on how hard they kick. But that's not what makes it brilliant. What makes it brilliant is that this is a perfect example of what can go wrong with kicking. Kicks are simply stronger than punches. You have more mass in your leg, you can accelerate more, you can deal more impact. And you're less likely to hurt the delicate bones in your fingers or your hand if you make a mistake. But if you kick at the wrong time, or kick to the wrong area, you are leaving your body open, and your opponent can take advantage of this. It's one of the reasons why there's so many videos about this martial art's better, that martial art's better, well, you shouldn't kick, you should kick, here's a good kick, here's a bad kick. And a lot of that is addressing the wrong problem. It's not that a kick doesn't work, it's that the kick was done to the wrong target at the wrong time, and the opponent punished them for that. Everything in a real fight is give and take. Every move you make gives your opponent some chance to counter. Some moves have almost no chance to counter. Some moves have a huge chance to counter. And if you make a mistake, if you try the wrong kick, the wrong punch, the wrong strike, the wrong takedown, at the wrong time, you can lose. And so now we come to the finale of this fight, a sequence of fast-paced strikes that I absolutely love. Now, the first thing to point out is that these are all fast-paced, using multiple types of strikes to kidneys, side of the neck, head, chest, and solar plexus, all spots you want to aim for because they inflict the most damage per strike, and using multiple types of hand positions. If you only use one type of motion repeatedly, sometimes that can give your opponent a chance to recover because they recognize the pattern. If you constantly change your pattern, take advantage of whatever openings you have, it is much harder for someone to react. Now, the final point to this is a spear hand strike to the front of the throat. Now, this is a event that's used throughout multiple times in the Ip Man series, and has a certain cinematic weight to it, but I'm going to talk about the practical aspect of this. Now, lots of traditional martial arts will use strikes with your fingers. And here's why. There are, from simple science, if you look at how materials break down and what impacts damage to any material, there are two factors: pressure and speed. A faster impact does more damage, usually, and a higher pressure impact does more damage. So if you look at your punch, you hit with these two knuckles are where most of your force is. Your hand spreads out the entire weight of your punch. If you hit with your palm, your hand spreads out the weight. Now, this is one reason some people say striking with your palm is ineffective. If you're doing it wrong and you're striking with your whole hand, that's right, it's useless. If you are bending your wrist and striking with the heel of your palm first, the actual effective striking area is about the same as a punch. If you are striking with your fingers, you take your punch, you straighten everything out, it is a much smaller area, which means the same power from your shoulder means a much higher pressure strike, which can do more damage, especially when you're targeting a small area, like the throat or a pressure point or someone's eye. The downside, though, is that you're striking with your fingers, and fingers are usually weak. Now, there are ways you can make your fingers and your bones in your hands stronger. There are plenty of videos out there of historical martial artists who will strike sand to try and build up strength in their fingers. Now, can you do this? Absolutely. Would I do this? No. If someone's throat is open, I'm just going to punch it. I get more power out of a spear hand, but I don't get significantly more pressure for me to throw away just a simpler punch. I usually want to pick a simpler technique. Now, does that mean there's no way I would ever use my fingers? No. Here's why. There's lots of techniques where you will use your fingers, maybe all of them, or sometimes down to just even 2 fingers or 1 finger, to inflict pressure. So if you take the side of someone's neck, 1 finger adds a lot of pressure, a lot of pain. Front of someone's collarbone, 1 finger adds pain. You can take someone's hand. If they're grabbing, you can take 1 finger, push down on the back of their hand, causing lots of pain. You don't have to strike and risk damaging your own finger in order to inflict pressure. You can just apply a normal amount of force in a concentrated area, and if you target the right spot, it will be incredibly effective. This has been the final fight to the first Ip Man movie, my favorite martial arts movie of all time. If you liked this video, leave a comment, subscribe, tell a friend, let me know what you thought. I'm always curious to hear ideas and to hear feedback, Thank you all very much for watching. Have a wonderful day.